Hello and welcome to my studio. My name is Derek Hunt and I am a professional stained glass artist, and today we're talking about rigger brushes. What are rigger brushes? Why are they called that name? How to work with them and how to get the best results. All that good stuff coming up right now. So, how did rigger brushes get their name? Well, allegedly, it's because painters used to use them to paint the rigging on ships when they were painting in watercolours and oils. They wanted a brush to create long, thin lines, and these are absolutely ideal. You can get them in a variety of different sizes, and I will leave details in the descriptions below for suppliers. They come in natural sable and synthetic hair. I would recommend that you go for a blend of natural, sable and synthetic, because the synthetic helps the brush to maintain its shape. So essentially rigger brushes look a little bit like this. This is a selection of some of the rigger brushes that I have, and they are long, thin brushes that come in different sizes. Some of them are really quite large like this, and some of them are a lot smaller and thinner like this. I've just got a mixed paint bag here. This is not any particular one paint type. So this is a mixture of bistre brown and black and green, and you can mix them all together, and I hate to waste things, and so we're just going to use some sort of mixed up paint today, and it's got a little bit of gum arabic in it, and I'm going to mix it today with vinegar rather than water. So white vinegar is the vinegar that I tend to use when I'm doing line work, because it actually creates a better effect. You get a better consistency and a better line. Now I've just mixed up the batch of paint into a consistency which is like toothpaste. If you can get it to this point where it's not too watery but it stays together as a lump, think about toothpaste consistency. That's the ideal sort of level that you want to have your baseline paint mixed to. And then we can put a cover over the top of that. That protects the moisture, that keeps the moisture in the paint. It also, very importantly, protects it from dust and debris. So just always cover your paint before you use it. Now, in order to make it into a painting consistency, I'm going to add a little bit more vinegar to it, and I'm making it much more like an Indian ink paint mixture. And the way to use a rigger brush is to hold it in a vertical position and to put a bend on the brush, as you can see here, because that is how the paint flows from the bristles. If you do a flick at the end, you get a little sharp point. So have a play and have a practice with the rigger brush. It does take a little bit of time to get used to. This is where rigger brushes excel. They're absolutely brilliant for doing straight lines. Use your bridge like this and you can paint straight lines all day long. It's absolutely ideal. But rigger brushes are so good at doing so many more things. So what you'll find when you start to work with a rigger brush is that line work, straight line work, works very well with the rigger brush, but it can be more challenging to work with curves. You can get some beautiful curves, curved lines with a rigger brush, but it can become thick and thin. And that's dependent on how much pressure you apply to the brush. So if I am very lightly pressurizing the brush on the glass to start with, I get a thin line, and then if I increase that pressure, I get a thicker line. So you can play with that, especially in curves. You can get very gestural curve work. So you can go from thin to thick, back to thin again. And you can get some really, really nice effects, but it does take a little bit of practice, simply because this is not like drawing with a dipping pen. The brush tends to have a mind of its own, and it's slightly harder to control those lines. Also, if you're right-handed or left-handed, you can get better curves. For example, I'm right-handed and I get a much better curve moving this way than I do that way. That to me is a slightly harder gesture. It's a slightly harder maneuver. Another important factor when you're painting with a rigger brush is the speed with which you paint. I find that I get a much better line if I move quickly. So let's put these various techniques together in a sample piece. This is a typical Victorian or Edwardian repeating pattern that you often see in the background to stained glass windows. It's a useful one to practice on because it's got straight lines as well as curves in it. Now painting is very forgiving because while the paint is unfired, you can scratch it back and tidy up lines. We all have wobbles, we all make mistakes, and scratching it back is a really useful way. I use a variety of different sticks, including porcupine quills here, or sort of handmade sticks that I put together from old brushes. I can put needles in the end of brushes like that, or you can even sharpen up the other end to get thicker lines. You can use needles, you can use barbecue sticks, that kind of thing, and it's really good for tidying up any mistakes and also doing the detailed work like the floral center to this particular design. I'm using the porcupine quill to etch that out and to clean up all the lines. So this is the finished piece ready to be fired. So there we have it, how to use a rigger brush. If you found value in today's video, please leave a like because it really does help the channel. Subscribe, leave comments and suggestions for future videos, and I'll see you in the next one.